Gayarti certainly did think, because we are still reading those strange notebooks where he wrote. You should take a look at those notebooks. They kill you. And what was he writing about? International socialism. Okay? So he writes, already before incarceration or de novo, he could see the need for the formation of the proletarian intellectual. And I quote, now this guy was a communist. He's not someone who's sitting in an armchair. And I quote, those who will enjoy, after the transitional period of national proletarian dictatorships, he even believed in that strange phrase, dictatorship of the proletariat, okay? National proletarian dictatorships, those who will enjoy the fullness of, and this is you, the fullness of life and development of international communist democracy. That's the legacy that you're within. So don't reduce it just to bad times in the United States. If you really want to be democratic socialists in what still remains a kind of, this is why, in fact, the Al-Qaeda folks hate us, in spite of Angola, in spite of the Congo Lumumba, in spite of Allende, in spite of what they did in Haiti. America is still the city on the shining hill where millions of immigrants are coming. So how? And Israel is mentioned as the only democracy in the area. So to an extent, you still have that capital, cultural capital. And it seems to me, if from within you can actually start thinking, I'm not going to tell you what to do, because in order for that to happen, as I said to Eric, we have to sit down together, not me at a mic, but you folks and me together, and you tell me what you've done, and we talk about what I've done. We share problems. My problems are not the same as yours. So therefore, I tell you then, in the end, and look at the Haiti thing. If you like, write me an email, and I will send you a little summary of how the black Jacobins were destroyed. You know who the black Jacobins were? The Toussaint Louverture, who actually, the black slave population in Haiti actually defeated the big French army and Napoleon's army. You know, Saïd goes on about how Napoleon was undefeatable and therefore created Orientalism in Egypt. Never thinks of the fact that Toussaint Louverture's black slave army actually defeated the Napoleon's army and established the Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. They established, but even that, Marx says, was a bourgeois revolution. That was only the beginning of what could have happened. And basically, France and then the United States killed it. Okay, so it's within, and I'm glad we spoke about Clinton, because Clinton certainly had a hand in it. I mean, this whole business, they paid billions, yes, but they paid billions and billions and billions of dollars, first till 1947, to France and then to the United States as indemnity for having taken away the colonial property of France. Haiti was one of the biggest, and now today we are fundraising to help Haiti. My heart sinks. Of course we should fundraise, we should help, etc. But that's the story of why, in spite of the fact that you are people full of goodwill, you've heard of socialism, you want to be socialists, do not keep yourself confined only to the problems of your own country. Do engage with, because think globally, act locally is not a good slogan. Because when America thinks globally, it's thinking Americanly. This has been proved a million times. If you really can think internationally, which is not useless, then I will be with you. In fact, why don't I say this? Why don't I read this one small thing where Marx writes, as you well know, his idea of how to be international. Why do you think he took foreign language as a model? The beginner, writes Marx, who has learned a new language, always translates it back into his mother tongue. Always the United States. But he assimilates the spirit of the new language and expresses himself freely in it only when he produces within it without recalling the language that was rooted in him without forgetting his native tongue. And that is Marx's description of revolutionary practice. If you want to create a socialist world, and this is why the younger you are, the better, think about these things. And if you really have developed questions out of this, Eric knows, I'm always happy to help. I'm an idiot. I don't know the value of my own time as I move toward death. I'm always ready to help. But I need questions that are real questions, not just superficial questions that anyone can answer. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I had really wanted not to give this talk because I liked the fact that you were all speaking about local and national issues. There's nothing wrong with that. So you can forget everything I said, but I told Eric I can't not say what I think. So that's all you've heard. You can forget it, go back to your homes and engage in the way that the other three speakers told you to. That will be good enough. Thank you. I'm going to let the woman in the back speak first because you spoke once. Yes.
I'm interested in sustainable investing. How do you do that internationally?
Okay, now I have a problem with sustainability because it seems to me, now of course you can ask your broker, but I mean I'm not really very good with investing, but I will say this, the problem with sustainability is it's better than non-sustainable investing. You can see from the way I speak, I don't like to put a stop on people's efforts to do something. I think it's very good, but
I understand that there's a problem with the word, but I want to figure out how to do it well.
Okay, but first let me talk about what the problem is with the word. It's not just a superficial problem, because once you use the word, you think you're doing something good. Sustainability is to do the maximum of something in order to get away by doing the minimum of something else. So when it is a sustainable investment, I was coming to it, you have to do it. All good works need a little research, my friend, you know this very well. You have to look at what the sustainable description, what the description of sustainability is, okay? So, because in general it's used to cover over profit maximizing, cost reducing, etc., etc. So that's how you do it. You do a little bit of work on your own. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't not think my mind either, so I'm just going to say it. Hope it makes sense. For a long time, I've wanted to just leave the U.S. Because I'm so fed up, because of the strong fascism context, cultural feeling here. I live abroad in a lot of South American countries, a fair amount. I always get abroad sick when I come back here. And my question to you is, how, based on your experience growing up in India, having seen these victories, having lived this international socialism feeling, do you then, be okay might be the wrong word, but be okay with being in the U.S., living in the U.S., make that choice, the reverse choice that I want to make?
I love the United States. It's the only, I don't think this problem is reduced to traveling away from a bad place. What I've been talking about, just as I am completely confident of your goodwill, and what I'm talking about is systemic. It's so, you engage with, I'm also in India all the time, and I didn't see everything right away. That's why I said some analysis is required. Slowly, and remember that first independence was a huge thing. And then I read with chagrin, because I was talking at CUNY, that again, I'm talking so much about Edward because I talked on Orientalism at CUNY just last week. I saw with chagrin that he had made the mistake of saying the subaltern can speak. Look at all these national liberation movements, without giving me a footnote. The national liberation movements have nothing to do with subalternity. Gramsci's tight definition of subalternity is exactly the illegal so-called undocumented immigrants today here. That is to say, people who do not have access to citizenship, access to the state. That's the subaltern, frankly. So therefore, I don't think it's a question of traveling away from a place. Where are you going to escape the United States?
I'll come back. I don't know.
Well, that's my advice. My advice is stay here. Do what you can here. It's not a question of personal discomfort. Okay? So, and as for my staying here, I'm cool. I have no problem. I'll take a minute to tell you something, which is, I see what time it is, I should really stop. Scanning closed 3:45 p.m. Whatever. Anyway, so I've been to jail obviously many times. All of our generation, political people marching away, etc., jail. But once I went to jail for a DUI. Now, how did I go to